Good evening and welcome to Injustice Investigations. I'm your host, Al Scott. As always, we thank you all for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. Tonight, we're going to go a different route when looking at issues concerning Blacks in America. It's no secret that racial profiling of Blacks is on the rise. It is no secret that police brutality against Blacks in this country is on the rise. It's no secret that white supremacist groups are on the rise in this country right now. That goes without saying. But tonight, we're going to go a different perspective to see our role in some of what's going on with us in the United States. Comedian Mike Epps once said right after I think it was the George Floyd killing, he wasn't referring to George Floyd, but he was talking about us as a whole. He said, in a lot of incidents, we have to stop putting ourselves in predicament to be racially profiled or killed. That's true to a degree, because you all know as well as I do, sometimes you can do all the right things, but when you meet a certain cop, Black or white, your life is at risk. Tonight, I've called on a good friend of mine to help me in discussing Black on Black crime. You've heard me mention his name the past couple of weeks, probably 20, 30, 40 times. I respect him. He's well respected in the neighborhood. He's a community activist. He has his own show going. And it is a pleasure for me to welcome my good friend, Robert Thomas Jr. from the Real News Behind the News.
Oh, hey, how y'all doing? I was just trying to unloosen this tie. Hey, I apologize, Alfonso, for the delay. I had to find my charger, and then I had to find some earbuds because I wasn't hearing you. That audio problem that we had earlier when we was testing.
Okay. Yes, sir.
It flared up, but now I got you. I can hear you perfectly clear. So again, I apologize for being late. And I was sweaty because I had to find the charger. But how y'all doing? My name is Robert Thomas Jr. I'm a local, I guess you could say somewhat media type personality here in Shreveport, Louisiana. We have a page called The Real News Behind the News on Facebook, YouTube, where we basically talk about issues from a larger point of view. We always are of the frame of mind at The Real News Behind News that you will never understand what's going on in your neighborhood until you understand what's going on throughout the world. And so that's the angle that we try to bring to our people and to all people, that the media job is to lie to us and impregnate us with their lies. My job is to be the condom to keep you from getting pregnant by the media lies. So I bring things to you from a different point of view. So I'm grateful to be here, Alfonso. Thank you for inviting me. And again, I apologize for being late and I was sweaty, but I couldn't find my charger.
Brother, you're fine. I am glad you are in the house with me tonight. Now, there's a major protest that's still going globally right now. That protest really got ignited when George Floyd was killed by a Minneapolis police officer who held his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. But that went way back to Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin. Blacks got fed up. And not only did Black people get angry, people of other races got upset and they joined in the protest against the injustices that many Blacks in this country are receiving. And that's nothing new. We've been receiving injustices since the beginning of time. But if we were to tell the truth, and that's what we're going to do tonight, we're going to address this in another way. Black Lives Matters. It matters depending upon who you're asking. Black people wear a Black Lives Matter shirt at the drop of a dime. Black people would hold that sign up, say Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace. But when we say Black Lives Matter, Robert, are we telling the truth? Or some of us being hypocritical? Or do we even know what we're saying? And I said that to say this. If you are going to convince any race, approve to any race in this country that Black lives really matter, I think you better first convince yourself and prove yourself to yourself that Black lives really matter. It doesn't, you can wear a t-shirt all day long, say Black Lives Matter, but does it really matter? If we can protest when a white police officer kills an innocent, unarmed Black person, I cannot understand why we're not protesting Black-owned Black crime.
Well, me being the person that I am, Alfonso, you know me, I just keep things real. I could go into both Black Lives Matter and quote unquote Black on Black crime, which henceforth, since it's such a problem with us saying Black people killing Black people is Black on Black crime, we're going to say Black criminality. But I can speak from both issues because you got a lot of Negroes want to kill me. So my life, my Black life don't matter because of what I'm speaking about Black Lives Matter and the agenda that they're really trying to push through that nobody really can see because all you see is them out front again after Trayvon Martin has gotten killed, after George Floyd has gotten killed, and numerous other brothers. They're out there then. But whatever happened to Black Lives Matter when little Queen D, that little baby who got shot in the head earlier this year here in Shreveport? Do you know that Black lives really don't matter to Black people, where we done had almost 5 babies shot and murdered here in Shreveport in almost 5 years? I mean, 3 years. You know, Black lives matter to those of us who want to see our communities better, because Black lives matter would encompass when you see a bunch of youngsters going to somebody's yard, you tell them, hey, boy, get your ass out of Mr. Johnson's yard. Black lives matter when stopping the criminality in our neighborhoods would help stopping the police from coming into our neighborhood. So I'm on both ends of the spectrum. I got Negroes want to kill me because I say the organization Black Lives Matter is bullshit. Excuse my language, y'all.
No. Okay, let's go here for a minute. Then we're going to get back to Black Lives Matter because I know you're going to tell us about that organization and what they stand for. When we look at statistics with Blacks and homicides, over 90% of Black victims of homicide were killed by Black people. Yeah. And most of the people that were killed know the individual that killed them. Now, here's the thing. If you know something, if you know, and I think you said it first many years ago, if you know for a fact that Lil Rah killed Tyrone, but you won't open your mouth because fear or you're keeping with the street code, we cannot continue to blame the police because they haven't made an arrest, because they don't have nothing to go on, but you know who did it and you won't say anything. This is Black on Black crime, but no one wants to address that. I don't see the NAACP marching. I don't see Reverend Al Sharpton marching about Black on Black crime, which has been a pandemic in this country for a very, very long time. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we sometimes might need to check ourselves, because if you have a child, you have a son. How old is your son?
He's 10. Okay. 10 years old.
Yeah, your son is 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Now, I know for a fact, knowing you, that you would not go out and buy crack cocaine and then give it to your 10-year-old son. I know that. I know that for a fact. Okay, that's your child, and you love your child. You would not do that to your child. Well, if you don't want it done to your child and you're not doing it to your child, how can you be okay with the guy that lives next door to you putting drugs in other people's hands. Those are somebody kids as well. So when you don't say nothing, to me, you become part of the problem. The police can't do everything. They can't be everywhere. I remember a long time ago, you and I was doing a show similar to this, and you, in a comical way, but you were also serious. So what are we going to do? We're going to put a cop at every door?
Yeah. Yeah, because with most of these crimes, see, what we as Black people fail to realize, and this show might get a little deep and it might offend some of you all's sensibilities, and that's not my objective, but we have to ask questions. At the Real News Behind News, we believe in the motto, always ask questions. We have to ask the question, why are these cops in our neighborhood killing us? You see what I'm saying? First and foremost, police only come after a crime has been committed. We all know that. So basically, what we seeing is people willing to call the police on each other, because that same person who won't call the police on the drug dealer or the murderer will call the police on the Negro that broke in and stole their big screen TV. They will call the police on somebody who stole their rims, but you won't call the police on somebody who's killing your babies. See, that no snitching culture is literally one of the biggest hindrances we have as a people to actually beginning to progress, because no snitching allows 2 or 3 people to hold an entire neighborhood hostage. You see what I'm saying? So now, of course, the police can't find little Roro because he hiding out in your mama's your mama's washroom. Exactly. You hiding him out, and you expect the police now to come into your neighborhood to find little Roro with a basket of roses and some chocolates. No, they coming in there with bullets and artillery. Exactly. So what we have to understand is that until we control our neighborhoods, our communities, till we protect our children, our mothers, our fathers, our grandmothers, our nieces and uncles in our community with certain codes that tell the murderers, you better pray that the police find you before we do. We cannot allow these people to operate with impunity, because number one, it hinders the economic growth of your neighborhood. Who the fuck gonna come to your neighborhood when they gonna get robbed coming to open their store? I'm gonna be real. And Christians don't take it personal, but I'm gonna just be real. I can see Jesus right now in heaven, and God says, I need you to go down to Shreveport, my son, because they are going crazy. Can you see Jesus said, man, come on, Pop. I ain't finna go down there and leave these pearly gates and streets of gold for one of them niggas to shoot me. That's really the point that we at in Shreveport, because you don't know who's gonna do the shoot, where or who's gonna get shot. But we do know it's us killing us. And that's when the police come and kill us. So I hope I go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so with that being said, a politician about 2 weeks ago on my page got into a heated debate over Black Lives Matters. The guy simply asked the politician, when are you all going to speak out on black crime?
They're not.
I think that offended the politician, because he went off. First thing he said, that's not an issue right now. We'll deal with that later. But I didn't agree with what he said, because if I take my car to the mechanic because it needs a starter, and he puts that starter on, and then he said, Mr. Scott, you need an alternator. Well, we'll worry about that later. No. You can't. It's not going to work right. It's not going to move unless you take care of this now. So my opinion, everything needs to be put on to the table. We cannot keep giving Black people a pass on the wrong that they're doing. And we want to raise hell anytime someone of the opposite race attacks us or kills one of our children. Now, I think that was a wonderful question. What about Black on Black crime? Now, for some reason, it's like taboo. They don't want to speak on it. This conversation went on for 2 or 3 days, Rob, on Facebook. And then they took it to Twitter. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. If both of y'all continue to argue, it's hard for me to determine who the fool really is. But I agreed with the brother because we can't just keep joining a pity party with some black people saying, well, yeah, I know you've been oppressed. You can't do this. You can't do that. Some things we bring upon our own selves. Go ahead, Robert.
I want to interject something because, you know, on my page, that conversation with that politician, because, you know, I know all of them, that shit would have ended real quick because, excuse my language, y'all, I cuss a little bit, but I'd have been like, right there, you must be out your goddamn mind because you're not living where I live. You're not hearing the gunshots. You're not seeing all the robberies. You're not, you living in a bubble. You see what I'm saying? And this is what I would have said to that politician, man. So, yeah, go ahead. I just want to interject that because, first of all, let me give y'all a little game. Notice this. Let me go back and give y'all a little history. I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with the Willie Lynch letter. Let me show you the indoctrination. Because what you have to understand is black people in America, we're literally the only people on the face of this planet that does not have a culture. When they brought us our people from Africa, the first thing they did, they took away their knowledge, their religion, their language, their culture, their civilization. They took everything away from them, and they gave them, in replace of that culture, a God that says, slave, obey your masters. You see what I'm saying? And if your master hit you in your right jaw, turn and let him hit you in your left jaw. So now, here we are after slavery, after Jim Crow, which is another form of slavery, the private prison system, which is another form of slavery. Y'all celebrated Juneteenth a couple of weeks ago. Guess what? Negroes are still slaves. Go down to the penitentiary, which is the big slave ship. They still riding on slave ships today. So that shit ain't nothing changed. But now they have given us a culture of death, sex, violence, mayhem, and destruction. Now your politicians, on the other hand, they have a vested interest in keeping a great majority of the population down. Because again, it goes back to alluded to Willie Lynch letter. Willie Lynch says, if we take these Negroes and we put the old male Negro against the young male Negro against the old male Negro. You take the young female Negro, put her against the old female Negro. Likewise, the old male female Negro against the young Negro. You take the light-skinned Negro, put him against the black Negro. You take the tall Negro, put him in against the short Negro. And he said, no matter what happens, these Negroes are going to be so busy fighting each other that the only person they're going to look to and trust for help is us. And this is the key point to what he said, Alfonso. Think about it. This was in 17-something, 1770, 1750, whatever it was. But he said, if we do this shit right, if we indoctrinate them right, this teaching will last for at least 300 years, most likely 1,000. Mm-hmm. And you see that shit in our culture today. We don't have a culture, man. The culture that we have is go out. I mean, where your rappers are saying, I screwed 8 women, shot 6 niggas, and sold 12 pounds of dope all before 9 a.m. in the morning. This is the culture we have. So we got this deaf and destructive culture that our politicians want us to feel victimized by saying that it's the white man that's causing all the crime. No, it's Negroes killing each other behind coochie, dope, dumb shit like rims. Mental illness is a big factor. Now, we have to factor that in. But your politicians, they cannot help us in a sense because it's not in their vested interest. Because if they told us how they got them degrees, you notice it's almost always the educated Negroes that's telling everybody else ain't no such thing as black on black crime because they live in the suburbs now. They have to keep us ignorant, bruh. They have to keep us listening to rap music and fight each other. So we won't become a threat to their position. The house niggas, in other words.
Exactly. So do you think that we should be aggressively addressing black on black crime just as we are aggressively addressing the other issues with blacks and whites in this country?
Of course, but you have to do it. You have to step back from the media to do it, because this is the game that the media play. And, you know, I work for a media company, and you know, I study this. I mean, the game that the media playing. Let me just show you something. The police kill white people too.
Come on.
They kill Mexicans.
Come on.
Think about this. The police just killed a Mexican in Tucson, Arizona, a week and a half ago. Almost the same exact way that they killed George Floyd. You know, you want to know why you don't hear about that on TV? Because you cannot generate the rage, the anger, the passion, the hatred. You cannot generate these emotions showing a white man coming from work on Wall Street who just so happened to jaywalk and the police beat him to death. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be like, oh, hum, for a day or so. But when you see George Floyd getting his life, I mean, literally drained, you can probably feel, if you're really emotionally and spiritually tuned, you can feel that man's life draining out his body over those 9 minutes, bro.
Exactly.
And guess what? They showed you all 9 minutes of it. You see what I'm saying? But let me show you the part that the media didn't show. And this what Negro finna get mad. They didn't show you the part where he went in there and tried to pass a counterfeit bill. Again, if you stop the criminality, 9 times out of 10, you're going to stop the chances of interacting with the police. Meaning, if you clean up your own neighborhood, man, the police wouldn't have no reason to come, bro. So, I mean, I hate to use that analogy, but I'm going to be real. A lot of these Negroes that's getting killed by the police are not so innocent as the media would have us believe. You see what I'm saying? Now, they might be in an act of committing a petty crime, but just by committing a petty crime, you involve trigger-happy police. So what point do you take responsibility for your actions?
But if we go back with George Floyd and allegedly the counterfeit 20, who's to say that, one, it was a counterfeit 20, and number two, if it was, that Mr. Floyd knew it was a counterfeit bill? And not only that, it still doesn't constitute George Floyd not being here today. Now, let's not forget that the police officer and Mr. Floyd knew each other. They had a relationship. They've had some run-ins together. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't know if he, like I said, if he knew it was a counterfeit 20, or was it a counterfeit 20?
Yeah, that's a good point. But the whole point of the matter is the police were called behind that counterfeit, whatever it was. Because some people said it was a chick. The police were called. Exactly. Not saying that man should have had his fucking life ended, because that was really a sadistic murder. The police officer should really be charged with torture. You see what I'm saying? Because that man tortured. He lay there in agony as his life drained out of him for 9 minutes. But, hey, he allegedly had worked with this police officer also. So, again, there might have been some animosity, and this police used his authority, his badge, you know what I'm saying, to enact revenge. And it went tragically and horribly wrong. But again, no matter what happened, there was something that was alleged crime was committed, which allowed the police to be called.
Exactly.
Not saying they justified it.
Okay. Let's go back to black on black crime, crime in black neighborhoods. Recently, we did a study, and we wanted to see why the police stayed in black neighborhoods more than they stayed in white neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And so we went, by neighborhoods, by age and race. And when it comes down to it, not all black people, but a lot of them. Years ago, they said that the white man bought the drugs in our neighborhood. He sat the drugs there, right? We've heard that time and time again. Okay, well, then they said, black men don't have planes, don't fly planes. That may have been true back then, but we know it's not true today. Okay, well, regardless, but here's the thing. If you knew then, or you thought it would be the case that the white man, put the drugs in the black neighborhood for you to sell? If you're smart enough to figure that out, why do you take the bait, pick up the drugs, and then go sell the drugs? And then you get busted and you ask who set me up. But now watch this. It's easy to find out who set you up. It's easy. All you have to do is roll the tape back and look at your black ass standing out there on that corner from sun up to sundown. You don't have a job. Sun up to sundown, you're slinging dope. We might be the only race dumb enough to stand on the streets in broad daylight and sling drugs as if it is a legal thing to do. So with that being said, we have to check ourselves. And I know you want to make money. You want to pay your bills. I understand that. And let's look at it this way. You're a convicted felon. It's hard to get a job. I've been there. I've done time in prison. I've done time. I know it's hard. Once you come out, it's damn near hard to breathe in society because of you.
Especially at our age.
Exactly. Because, we're over. I mean, we're getting there, Robert. And so it's hard to get a job, even when you qualify for this position. One thing on an application will make you shake like a virgin on prom night. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? And you have to tell the truth because you might stand a chance of getting it, but if you lie, you don't have it. But now watch this. You can't find a job. Oh man, my background. Okay, now watch this. My background kept me from getting the jobs that I would love to have and I was qualified for. So what did I do? I had to think. Well, wait a minute. Since y'all won't open the door for me, I'm gonna open the door for my damn self. So I thought about what I was good at, what I enjoyed doing, and I created my own magic. But when you sit here day after day after day and just make excuses for why things are so bad in your life or in your neighborhood, I mean, you're just saying something close to nothing. Now, is it a crime to sell drugs? You damn right it is. That's black on black crime. I feel that as we march for whites killing blacks, we ought to be marching for black on black crime. We have to address that. That's a pandemic within itself. So are we 100% for justice? Or as my sister Yvette always says, are we going to cherry pick what works for us?
Well, as you can see, it's easier to blame the police for the 1 or 2 murders that they commit. Well, here in Freeport, they killing motherfuckers wholesale because, again, let me show you again how the media plays it. Most people in Freeport don't even really, if you don't watch TV, you just listen to the radio and YouTube. You don't know that the police here in Freeport have killed almost 6 black people in just the last 2.5 years. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, again, Alfonso, it goes back to responsibility. People like you and I, excuse me, man, I'm hearing something in the background, man. My dog, can y'all hear that? Y'all don't hear that. I'm sorry about that, man. Hold on a second.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, y'all, give me a second. That usually when that happens, somebody's about to interrupt. But anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought listening to the. Hold on a second.
Okay, you were talking.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure because when they get to doing like that, man, they might bite the mailman or something. But anyway, no, they won't. They're not vicious, but that means somebody's coming up. But I lost my train of thought. What were you saying?
You were talking about. You were talking about the police had killed 6 people in Shreveport.
Well, yeah. Now the media would have us focused on what's happening in Minneapolis. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Now let me ask you a question. Why is it the media showing us, showing the rest of the world, day after day, hour after hour broadcast of the black man who got killed here in April? 1 of 2 who got killed here in April, whether it was Tommy McLaughlin, who was murdered by the Freeport Police Department here. But at the same time, you have these Black Lives Matter people and these conscious people who say that there's no such thing as black on black crime say, well, it's different. When the police kill somebody, they don't even go to jail. Well, guess what? In Freeport, these Negroes who are killing people are not going to jail because 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 murders here in Freeport are going unsolved. You know why? because Negroes know who did it and won't say nothing. So again, it's very hypocritical for us to get mad and only point the finger at the police when in reality, you and I know every time we step out the house or walk up the street to the store, there's a better chance of a Negro somewhere on our block in our neighborhood will kill us faster than the police, man.
Exactly. So, and, and just, you have black mothers all over this country waiting for justice from their son or daughter being killed at the hands of a police officer. But also, if you flip that coin over, you have mothers waiting for justice. That individual killed their loved one, which 9 times out of 10 was black. But we don't talk about that. We just keep focusing on a white cop killing a black individual. And as I said the other night, every time a white person, kills a black, it doesn't mean that cop is racist just because he's white. It doesn't mean that. Now we can throw that in our minds, to say it is because we just want to get gangster and get out there and just act all willy-nilly and stuff. But if you were to tell the truth, cops kill whites too. Now, I just think that we have to start aggressively addressing black on black crime. If I want anybody to respect me and my people, I have to first respect myself and my people. White people see the majority of black people don't give a damn about themselves. So with that being the case, why should they give a damn about knocking your ass off of planet Earth? It comes a time where you got to get that voice, that information that you're going to get pissed off about, you're not going to like, you're going to call a person black bringing or a house nigga or field nigga or whatever, because you want blacks to say everything is white man's fault. Usually when a person, I'm going to just be real, and it's only the so-called woke and conscious Negroes, again, the ones who telling us that white supremacy is such a problem that it's going to hinder you in your education and your future. But these same motherfuckers, they got 2 or 3 college degrees under white supremacy. They got great careers under white supremacy. So if white supremacy didn't stop you, why are you holding that victim mentality over the rest of us? Because they have to. That's just like the preachers don't want you to ask, well, who was God's mama and daddy? The preacher gonna say, no, you ain't supposed to ask that. Why the fuck not? Did he create me with a mind to think? So again, these house Negroes that put the throw around the term Sambo, Coon, and all that. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? They are the real Sambo and Coon because most of them dance to tunes where if they said anything else, it might cost them a job. Exactly. It might cost them a position in a fraternity. It might cost them a position in their social structure wherever they are, a 501c3. So they want me and you and I to go along with this narrative. Now, let me show you how the media plays. And I just caught my train of thought from where I lost it when the dogs were barking. The media, reason why they don't show you that Mexican dude that got basically killed the same way George Floyd did in Tucson, Arizona. They cannot generate the hatred, the animosity that's long been existing between blacks and whites in this country. You see what I'm saying? They show a Negro get killed and 17,000 Negroes march in every city. You show a white or a Hispanic or anybody else on the news get killed, the story is over with that night. Nothing happens. So now they got these white folks, and Classic, I'm going to show you how it happened here in Shreveport, and they better do something to de-escalate their situation downtown at their courthouse. Because what makes this here unique amongst the country, let me skip to go there, man, because I think this is prominent. We're talking about black on black crime, white on white crime. I want to digress a minute and ask people to pray for common sense, pray for wisdom, but most importantly, pray for peace. Because here in Shreveport, unlike a lot of other cities where they taking down these monuments and these memorials, you have one side maybe out there, being boisterous and aggressive in another. But here in Shreveport, you got both sides with motherfucking guns, heavy artillery, standing across, one group standing in front of the courthouse on Texas Street, the other group standing, and they are heavily armed. Now, again, all this racial tension that the media is showing us,
They stand white folks when they show us this Negro killed the Negro this evening. We had 4 or 5 murders. They're doing that intentionally to scare these white folks, these Fox News listening white folks, you know what I'm saying, into thinking we all savages. But guess what? We're giving them material to put on shit on the news every night to make them think we savages. So now again, downtown with their courthouse, somebody, if they don't de-escalate this situation, I pray that it don't happen, not speaking them bad, but somebody, there's a potential for this shit to turn out real bad in Shreveport, man. Because again, go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree. When we get to the protests here in Shreveport, Louisiana, that's just my opinion. I'm not always right, you're not always wrong. But I think not just in Shreveport, in a lot of areas where they're protesting, I think some of the protesters done forgot what they started out protesting.
Yeah.
A lot of it has become entertainment. And when I tell you that we've seen clips in different cities and states of blacks and whites with the cups up in the air and they're doing the electric slide and dancing, that's the gospel. It's happening. It's happening. And as you always said, a lot of blacks would rather be entertained than informed. Now, when we look at the Confederate statues, Confederate flags, the monuments, or whatever, here's the thing, just my take, the way I see it. Many years ago, I protest against that. Take them up, they gotta go. Take the flag up, they gotta go. But I don't see it that way anymore. If you want to take it up, then that's fine. But here's what you cannot do. Even if you win the battle with having that statue removed or that flag disappearing, one thing you cannot do, Robert, and you know this, we cannot erase its history. The history is there. It's written in stone. You can't.
Yeah.
But here's what's going to happen. Negroes, sometimes the way they fight is the wrong way.
Yeah.
You cannot keep using old methods to address new tricks from the white man. Now watch this. You take this statue up, and I said it the other night. Here's what's going to happen to your black brother. You got it removed. A black man's going in the courtroom. This is a Cattle Parish report.
Yeah.
He has a racist judge. You know where I'm going. He has a racist prosecutor. The charge carries from 5 to 15 years. And he can also receive probation. He has never had a traffic ticket. First time ever walking in the courthouse. Well, here's what's going to happen. That judge and that DA, they pissed because y'all got that monument removed. So I could give him probation. I could just give him 5. I'm going to give him 13 years.
I'm finna lynch him.
I'm trying to get even with what was done.
No, I'm finna lynch him.
Then good. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know my opinion, Alfonso, on these statues. I believe you leave that shit where it's at. Because we as black people, if you want to take an example from anybody, take an example from the Jews. There's nowhere in the hell the Jews, anything that reminds them of the Holocaust, you better not touch it. Because the Jews' motto is never again. They will not destroy none of those death houses. They will not destroy anything that had to do with the Nazi. Because you know what? What if you have a generation that comes along and through your public education system, through your television system, through all your media, they whitewash slavery, and 60 years from now, they telling your kids that Negroes came over here as indentured servants, migrant workers, looking for a better job, and they just had to work under brutal conditions. Guess what? Now you don't have nothing to tangibly show you that slavery actually exists. So for 50 years from now, this is how you effectively erase history. But most important, with that statue at the Cattle Parish courthouse, like you said, I mean, I could give two craps about that statue outside because they have been lynching us inside the courtroom for for dozens of years.
That's it.
I'm saying, man, you go down there and you see cats, like you say, how they gonna get this cat life for selling 2 or 3 pounds of marijuana? Now when you got white corporation owners, selling hundreds of tons of it, but you go down there and take that statue up, that's what's going to happen. You're gonna suffer repercussions inside that courtroom. So I mean, that's a bigger issue we need to address inside the courtroom.
Yeah, you just preached. You broke it down so well, and I think we exerting energy. Well, no energy is needed. We need to be addressing the laws in this country. A lot of laws that are still on the book, just because it's legal, don't make it right. And so we need to be addressing those issues rather than demanding that we take up a statue of the Confederate flag. But if you want to know the truth, more blacks have died up under the United States flag than any flag on planet Earth.
Yeah, that's the Stars and Stripes next to the Israelis, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. Because again, I always say, Alfonso, if you don't understand what's going on overseas, you will have no fucking clue. It literally as to what's going on in your neighborhood. But under the Stars and Stripes, you've had the rape and robbery of continents like Africa, Australia, under British and American imperialism, the Stars and Stripes and the Stars and Bars over there. You've had slavery. You've had Jim Crow. Even today, under the American flag, dog, you have war crimes being committed overseas using our military. And did you see what Iran is trying to subpoena Trump?
Exactly.
So under the American flag, you had more death and bloodshed than any Confederate statue. Under the Israeli flag, you've had more death and destruction. Now let me get to showing you. Negroes sitting right here talking about police brutality. And when I tell them, understand international colonialism and politics, and you'll understand what's going on. Most people, I'm gonna be real, black people especially, have never even been out there sick. So they have no real concept that there's a bigger world. But black people, if you do not understand what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians, you'll never understand what's going on in your neighborhood. Because what do we call out the areas we live? Ghettos. What do the Palestinians live in? Ghettos. Now here we get deep. Your police departments here in America are being trained in the same tactics that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, practices and perfects on the Palestinians. Then they implement it through our police department while we send representatives to go over there from your sheriff's department, your city police department, to go over there and learn that tactic of putting your knee on this person's neck. Yeah, they get that shit from the Israelis. So you're dealing with a system that just is way bigger than American racism, because you have to understand what colonialism was. You see what I'm saying? To understand why we were bought here as slaves. So This shit is way bigger, man. And all you seeing is the police coming in your neighborhood killing you. But what you're not understanding is you got a bunch of crazy ass people, mentally ill, because they done went over in these illegal wars, murdered all these innocent people. The ones who are not coming back here committing suicide, guess where they getting their first job at? The police department.
Come on.
Because the police department will hire these people whose conscience is so diabolically screwed up and altered that one of them questions they ask, would you be willing to fire on unarmed citizens if you felt the threat was necessary? These motherfuckers have fired on whole villages and murdered all these people. So these are the people that they're putting in your neighborhood. Guess what? They look like shit overseas that they just came from fighting. Negroes getting shot. Look at in Chicago. You can't tell me. Man, do you believe like in an average weekend, more people die in Chicago than somewhere like in Iraq in a month?
And that's scary. That's scary.
So you asking these scary ass police to come in Chicago. Now again, let's talk about politicians, preachers, and all that. What part do these preachers and shit play in a lot of this too, man? Because they could be preaching, walking out, man, having these rallies in their neighborhoods where they're draining all these resources out every week, but they steadily asking us to pray to Jesus to make shit better, but babies are steady dying, man. You see what I'm saying? So it encompasses a lot of shit, man. I had to throw that shit in with the preachers and the politicians because, again, they have a vested interest, man, in to keep the status quo because it doesn't rock their boat and it doesn't affect them financially. But when they start getting out there saying the shit like you and I said, that Negroes need to check this Negro on. So we can't say black on black crime. Again, let's say Negro on Negro criminality. I mean, if that's what y'all want to use, because they try to say the terminology is flawed because you kill the people who are in close proximity of you and all that. But guess what? That makes no difference. I'm steadily hearing gunshots every night. I'm steadily seeing, all this bullshit in my neighborhood. So in my neighborhood, there is a thing as black on black crime. So, I said all that, man. I just went off, but if you're not understanding what the bigger picture, because you'll never see a smaller piece of the puzzle. You're putting these scary ass cops into some shit that look just like Afghanistan. Again, when you're gonna have more people in one fucking weekend to get killed in Chicago than they do in a whole war zone overseas.
No, but
and y'all said there ain't no problem.
Right.
And that is that what Farrakhan now, man, up there in Chicago. Again, I'm not judging the minister or nothing. He can't do nothing to stop crime, but that shows you how effective religion is. That shit ain't working for us because you asking a God who live up in the heaven to drive a car down here on earth by remote control through your neighborhood to make that shit better. Jesus ain't never owned a donkey. I'm pretty sure he don't have a driver license. So why you gonna let him drive a car from heaven down here, man? And you steady running into crooked cops, shooting your kids down.
Right.
Go ahead.
But you brought that so well. When we go back to the police and who they decide to hire, I think that's an excellent point. I think I said it. I spoke with a politician earlier today, and we were talking about the police department. And basically, you can ban a chokehold in Louisiana, you can ban it in Chicago, you can ban it in Las Vegas or New York, but that doesn't mean anything if you have not banned the wrong person from giving a badge and a gun to. So the techniques is not really the problem. It's the individuals that you continue to give a badge and a gun to. But you just put it so well. Now we know the majority of the people that the police department are giving a badge and a gun to because they want them to do exactly what it is that they do.
Think about it, Alfonso. With the current society, the way society is currently, with all this bullcrap going on, you would have to be mentally ill really to want to be a police officer. Because that old romantic idea, I want to fight crime in my neighborhood, that shit gone out the window. When you see Negroes and white folks, the level of brutality in American society, period. Because this nation was built upon violence. But nowadays, you might have 1 out of 10 who really want to fight crime. But most of them are steroid junkies. Because again, I'm gonna show you some other shit that we need to be demanding. That these police be held accountable by way of private drug testing, in a sense, even though they're public employees, civil servants. There should be a way we should find out what's going on. Because if you remember, we had 4 or 5 police now just last year get caught fucking selling steroids, buying and selling steroids. So again, you got over-aggressive steroid junkies, mentally ill, on your streets as police with a badge and a gun. You had to be that police officer who killed George Floyd. You tell me that motherfucker was not mentally ill to sit there. And literally, you can tell me that this man could not hear this man struggling to breathe and did nothing but sadistically sat there. Well, so that's a mentally ill person. And these are the kind of people that they putting on your streets in your neighborhood. And they coming in there seeing shit look like, again, Afghanistan, Yemen.
You remember when we did, I was in Dallas, Texas then, when we did the story about the female officer, the white officer that killed, I think it's Botman inside of his apartment, alleging that she thought his apartment was hers. And everybody kept asking for the results from the toxicology report. And it took us a while to get that. And then, I'm sure they doctored it up and said she was fine. But there was many questions about what was in her system, like marijuana came up a lot of times. And so someone said something the other day, just made me think. They said that all cops, right after, they get involved in an incident, they should automatically have to take a drug test. Well, hell, I thought they did, but evidently they don't. But when
we have to look at who's administering the drug test and how easy it is. come on, shit. I mean, I mean, I'm a 3-time convicted felon and been on probation plenty of times. I know how to beat drug tests or whatever. But when in the case of a police officer, it should be a citizen review board first and foremost. And on that citizen review board, you should have people who are not politicians or career, inspiring politicians or members of clergy, but people like yourself and others who are going to want that police officer to go and get a drug test and have 3 of us to follow him through every procedure of turning that shit in, and the results come directly back to the people before the police even get them, so it can't be doctored, because we know how easy it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with that, because a lot of times when you're in the system and you're waiting on your discovery to come back, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times your attorney will get it before you get it. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, as far as police officers are concerned, we need to have a say-so in who gets a badge and who gets a gun. With that being said, I've been saying it for about 2 weeks now. They need to go back from the day that individual was born and talk to just about everybody they can come in contact with that came in contact with him. We need to know his or her whole history. If there's some disciplinary reports there, once they receive the badge and a gun, I should be able to go online and immediately pull that up. Yeah. Just by logging in to the system. All police officers must be able to be sued. No police officer should ever be placed on paid administrative leave. If you lose your case and they find that you killed someone and it was not justifiable homicide, just a homicide, well, your pension you lose, and your pension goes to the victim's family. If you don't put any serious consequences in front of cops, they will not stop doing what they're doing, because they don't have anyone to answer to. And you're right, people like you, I, and others, we need to see it first. We need to make sure that you go there and you do the right thing. But if you do not get into the mind of the individual that you're finna give a badge and a gun to, it's just gonna be Pandora box all over again. And one thing that really bothers me is when a cop is placed on paid administrative leave. When they killed Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, that cop went on vacation, he got married, and his wife had a baby. All while Michael Brown's family was laying him to rest. You shouldn't receive a pay if you're not doing a damn thing to earn that pay. Your name needs to immediately be released to the public. If you're going to release the victim's name just like that, the police officer's name needs to immediately.
The crazy part about it, who's paying them? Those of us who are pissed off, the taxpayers. Mm-hmm. We're the ones who are paying their salary to basically go out and kill us and then sit around at the house. You know what I'm saying? And then not to mention that that boy Darren Wilson, he probably out-doubled Michael Brown's people in a GoFundMe. Because now you got these white folks that, again, who are tired of seeing the media show us as savages. They gonna go out there and say, now blue lives matter. Mm-hmm. In less than a month. I mean, come on, he done raised $500,000.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Because of the sake of time, I got 2 questions that I want to ask you. The first one, Black Lives Matter, the organization. Tell me about that.
Well, and if I offend people, I apologize. It's not my job. I mean, my intention, but just keeping it real. You have to go back to the founders of Black Lives Matter. That one chick, Ross, I forget their name, but it was 3 females. Matter of fact, just go to Black Lives Matter's website. How many of y'all ever actually been to the Black Lives Matter official website and read their statement of what we believe? That shit would blow your mind. Black Lives Matter, again, they're taking the tragic episodes of Black people being murdered by the police and using that to cover for another agenda. Now, I don't want to go too deep into it, man, because like I said, for the sake of time, but when they say that it's a Marxist organization, it's true. Their founding members are trained Marxists, but most importantly, and again, I don't want to offend nobody, but their main agenda is to put those who are quote unquote gay, lesbian, queer, or whatever into top positions into government. So they're using the platform of our people dying to subvert another agenda. Why do you notice wherever there's a Black Lives Matter movement, a protest, guess what comes the next day? Trans lives matter, gay pride matters, all this shit follows. Okay. Black Lives Matter, man. And you got to go back and look at their mission statement. So to you people, and if you are listening, you know who I am, that come on my Facebook page and try to threaten me or call me this here. No, you all to sell out in coons because you're following a fucking group who's literally trying to destroy the basic idea of a family. These are their agenda basically is not for Black Lives Matter. Basically, because again, so, the motherfuckers are more. Go ahead.
Right.
That's another show.
Exactly. But I promise you, we will address that because it needs to be addressed. Now, as far as black on black crime, that's somewhat taboo. Why do you feel, especially with politicians and preachers and activists, no one really wants to address black on black crime?
Cowards. Because in order to address black on black crime, you have to get out there and go where niggas are killing each other. Excuse my language. And they cowards. They not finna do that shit. Gotcha. They have all these pretty rallies and marches downtown. But how many rallies and marches do they have in front of these drug houses? You know what I'm saying? How many rallies do they have in the neighborhoods where they know shit going down? Like tonight, the check night come out. You know what I'm saying? You know it's going to be a lot of criminality tonight. But guess what pastors and preachers now at home? They're cozy in their churches. So again, it's to me, and I'm not judging them or just trying to put them down, but they're a bunch of cowards. Because how can you understand what's going on amongst the people and speak for them unless you walk amongst them? Again, these politicians and a lot of these preachers don't live where we live.
Exactly.
No more. You see what I'm saying? But one of these major bishops, they get up here and say, they really exaggerate the crime in this area. Man, I'm like, man, and like I said on your Facebook page, they know how to come on my page with, because that shit will end quick. I'll be like, man, you must out your damn mind. Because I talk to them like they deserve. I talk to them with respect when they deserve respect. But when I feel that they're thinking we stupid and they trying to run over, you know me, I don't call, I cuss a lot, and I can cuss real good at politicians and preachers. So that being said, they cowards.
Okay.
And half of them homosexuals anyway, so that's a whole nother story too.
Okay,
but
so
they cowards.
When it comes to black on black crime, to bring awareness to that, what is it that you think that if we really love one another, we need to start to do concerning black on black crime? Because as we said earlier, we know 9 times out of 10, Reverend Al Sharpton and the NAACP will not march or rally on black crime. And so we cannot continue to wait on others to come and fix our problems. A system that has never been for us cannot be failing us. And our justice system is not broken. It was designed the way it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, because think about it. You fucking marching down to the city hall and all that. They the ones who created the legislation that got you getting killed. They got you basically living in inferior fucking economics conditions in your neighborhood. So you're asking the same people who put you in that situation to help you, when in reality, what you do is like our great grandmamas used to do. You can't do it now because people get touchy when you tell a badass kids to get your ass out of that lady yard over there.
Exactly.
You know, you can't tell my child nothing. Well, guess what? If Miss Johnson shoot your fucking child for trespassing, trying to steal a lawnmower out of her backyard, whose fault is it? Miss Johnson, your kids, or you? So we have to get back to that family principle, where if I see your child doing something wrong, I ain't got to put my hands on it, But if I can tell them, hey, little boy, get your bad ass on back up the street without fear of your little 12-year-old boy, you're pulling out a pistol now and shoot me. So we have to get back to that point, man, whereas we took care of our own community. If you had a rapist in the community, we dealt with that shit in the community. The police never didn't know about it. You know, you had a murderer in the community. Again, the message was, you better hope the police find it before we did. Any crimes against the elderly and children, no tolerance. We deal with that shit. And so that way you won't have the police in your neighborhood.
Exactly. And I think you and I have done this before. And I was talking with one of our city leaders today. And basically they agreed that we know a lot of people don't want to tell what they know because of fear. Well, there's always a way to get information to the police. There should be somebody that you can trust, a public figure or somebody you can just call and say blase, and your name would never, ever come up. So if you really want to help, if you really believe that Black Lives Matters, then that has to start inside of your house. And it has to start with you turning people in that's selling drugs, turning people in that's killing one another. I think you said it a long time ago. Rah has come in and took over a whole damn neighborhood that we grew up in. Mm-hmm. You know? And so he's holding us hostage. So you cannot be upset with the police when no arrest has been made, when nothing has been given to help the police go and arrest these individuals. So before we can say Black Lives Matter to anyone, Robert, we got to first make sure that it matters to us. So I don't look for the government to fix what's wrong with us, because that's the government. They have never been.
They created this shit. They created the economic. They created economic and social constructs for this shit to happen. So how you gonna ask people who basically created these ghettos for you through substandard loan housing, inferior education? You know what I'm saying? They created this shit for you. And how you gonna expect them, you know, please, master, take your foot off my throat a little bit so I can breathe a little bit?
They're not going, you and I both know that they're not going to do that. And so therefore, it's up to us to fix us. They're not going to fix us. We pump a lot of money into the economy. I mean, when I said blacks pump money into it, but we are treated the worst, and not just by the white man, how we treat ourselves. So if you're putting drugs in someone's hand, you cannot tell me that you love your black people. You talk that black shit, black this and black that, but you don't give a damn, because if you did, you would not do things to bring your neighborhood down, or kill your people, or send your people to prison, or you wind up going to prison. You remember, I think, was it last year, damn near every other night, there was a shooting in Shreveport, and a lot of those crimes are still unsolved.
Yeah. Because again, like I alluded to earlier, Negroes love to say that when the police kill a black man, he don't go to jail. Well, guess what? 8 out of 10 Negroes that kill somebody in Shreveport don't go to jail either. But again, you ain't too scared to call police on Tyrone for stealing the lawnmower.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Tyrone stole Miss Elta's lawnmower, and everybody in the motherfucking neighborhood mad behind that lawnmower. You know? But again, Miss Elta and everybody in the neighborhood can't sit on their front porch because Lil Boosie got an AK-47. But guess what now?
Come on.
So do 50 law-abiding, gun-toting, legal gun-toting citizens in that neighborhood. But they'll still let that one motherfucking bad apple destroy your neighborhood. And guess what, people? Ain't nobody. I mean, how many? You remember they had that Popeyes and that Chick-fil-A?
Sandwich. That chicken sandwich.
How many Chick-fil-A's you see in your neighborhood? You ain't finna see no motherfucking Chick-fil-A in your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? You better, when you see McDonald's, they put it on the outskirts of your neighborhood.
You know what? I'm glad you brought it up. Cynthia and I was coming from somewhere the other day, and what I was thinking in my mind, she said, I forgot where it was coming from. She said, "You sure know when you get back in Niggerville, don't you?" And it's just the look of it, and the people that are hanging out. And so we have to do better for ourselves. It's just as simple as that. We're waiting on the government to fix us when the government is the damn problem. It's as simple as that, And so we got to, the drugs, we got to get ourselves together. The average brother is selling drugs because I want to take care of my child. Well, if we're going to tell the truth, you were selling drugs before you met Tasha. So
what's going to happen to your child once you go to prison? No, again, that's a cop out. You talk to somebody who just beat Bossier Parish in the state of Louisiana on a life sentence behind selling marijuana. You familiar with my case?
Yes, sir.
I did what I did. True enough, the extra money helped. I did what I did really as a cop-out excuse because I liked that lifestyle. I wanted to do this shit. And yeah, at the time, I was the only one taking care of a 2-year-old son, and my job just wasn't getting it. But now, like you said, like I always said, I create my own door. Nobody can shut it. So again, how fucking big of a fool you gotta be if you know Mr. Charlie giving you a poison lollipop? Would you suck on it? You know what I'm saying? You know the shit poison, you're gonna die. Guess what? You play a fuck game, you win a fuck prize. How many niggas retired from the dope game? How many Negroes retired? How many retired gang bangers do you know? So if you know the white man is doing this, it might be a little harder, but get you a lawnmower. If you're gonna commit one crime, steal a lawnmower and go around the neighborhood and cut yards with that mug. 30 yards a pop. All you need is $5 a day, $150 a day. Most niggas turn the penitentiary chances, going back and scoring an ounce of weed and trying to flip that shit. And niggas, make $500 a week selling weed. Nigga, you could have did that in the oil field. So,
right, and it's like I've been to jail. I haven't always done right, but I haven't always done wrong either. But I would rather be free in a shotgun house on a mattress with $1 in my damn pocket than locked up with $1 million and able to make commissary every time commissary came around. You have to get to a point in life where you begin to see yourself in a different light. People greet you and treat you the way that they see you. So tonight, what I hope people will take from this conversation with you and I is that we got to stop joining Black people's pity parties, and they got to get up and start doing things for themselves, stop putting themselves in harm's way. We know a lot of times they don't put themselves in harm's way. It's just that diabolical, deranged, crooked cop. But we must know who we are getting ready to give a badge and a gun to. And when you are thinking about hiring them, their information should go up so that you and I can address that, because maybe they missed something and we know about this individual and that they shouldn't, be on the police force. But one thing above all, Robert, I think it's time for Black America to check their damn selves.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna say this, folks. I gotta go because I got a brewing issue. But I'm gonna say this. First of all, preachers, stop. One thing that can happen, this might sound crazy, but it's true. Stop lying to these people at these funerals. This man was a piece of shit.
Come on.
He's not going to heaven. Actually, I hate to say this, whether he's black or white, if you're in there, the world is somewhat a better off place without him. Women, especially you 30-something-year-old grandmothers, a 13-year-old boy is not the man of the house. Stop sending that little boy out there to sell dope. Get your ass up, get you a job. Because a 13-year-old boy that's selling dope is not the man of the house. He's not your boyfriend.
Exactly.
So we're handicapping ourselves, man.
Exactly. I'm going to say this before we leave real quick. Just maybe think about something. Then we're going to get out of here. I have yet to go to a funeral. I have yet to attend a funeral. Well, the pastor, the individual that's giving a eulogy, they always say he or she is in a better place. That's heaven, right? Well, if everybody in the casket is going to heaven, well, who in the hell is going to hell? It doesn't make any damn sense. If everybody in the casket gonna go to heaven, then God wasted his time creating a hell. I just thought I'd throw
I bet you Mother Johnson didn't even go to the funeral. And while the funeral going on, she said, "I'm glad that motherfucker did because he stole my pocketbook one day."
Oh, right. Look, Francis has made a comment. She says, "Bring him back, Mr. Scott. I promise you I will." But before we go, Robert, tell him where you're at, your Facebook page and your YouTube channel.
It's simple. One name encompasses all, the real news behind the news, on YouTube and Facebook. It's really not that hard to find. There's a couple of others, channels that use the real news, but we're the real news behind the news. You got to type all that shit in because they bury our channel. You know how you got, they say, first result of 199,000 pages? I'm in that 100,000 page. They have my shit all the way at the bottom. But anyway, that's what we are, the real news behind the news.
All right, Robert, I love you big time. I thank you so much for accepting the invite. And I do believe that we're probably going to have to continue this conversation going on black crime. Maybe the next time we do this, you and I be out in the field somewhere speaking with people about black crime. I have nothing but mad respect for you. Continue to do what you do. And you know I love you big time.
Thank you. Love you too. And once again, people in Shreveport and Caddo Parish, pray for peace with that situation down there. And let's pray don't nobody get killed. Because all it takes, with both sides got guns, is somebody in the background to shoot or start a pistol. And the shooting start. Really just that's quick. Y'all be blessed. Thank you, Alfonso.
You're welcome. Thank you. As always, we thank you all for tuning in to the night broadcast. I love you. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Y'all be blessed.